Hello, Oggies Worldwide. I'm Dave Kassler, amateur radio call sign KE0OG, here with another episode of Ask Dave. I received a question from Jim Olsten, KC0AZY, and he wants to know why he can't get a particular vanity call sign. So what we're going to look at tonight is why he can't get it, and then of course we'll go beyond that and talk about the assignment of call signs in general in the United States and around the world. And we'll also discover that those same first letter assignments that we're used to of A and K and November and whiskey are used for other things too. For example, my airplane, the call letters for that are N8053R, November 8053R, Romeo. And that's true of all the civilian aircraft in the United States. They've all got an N number. So these are used for lots of different things. Let's dive in and answer his question. All right, we're going to start talking about call sign assignments here. I have just a few charts available. This is the question that I got from Jim. Recently became an amateur extra. Would like to get a new A0AZY call sign if it is still no charge. Tried last year filling out the FCC form 602. It's actually the 605, and was rejected by mail. I read of your expose of O versus 0 versus different kinds of zero differences, and since I am in region 0, might the problem be solved with Alt 216? If you were to put this somewhere up here, let's add a character. Let's take a look at 0 and an O, a shift O. Okay, note that in many fonts the O is a lot wider than that. You can hold down the Alt key and type with the numeric keypad 0216, let go of the Alt key, and you get the /0. And that's an easy way to get it for ordinary correspondence. But what I have found is for doing any kind of work with HTML, you need to put this and the O, capital O, S-H, S-A, slash, and then a semicolon. And then this little thing right here will appear in HTML as that right there, okay? If you put this into HTML stuff like posts and so on, it often gets pulled apart. But if you put in this there where it can recognize it, it will get that capital O with the slash through it. That's what he's talking about down here. It will not solve his problem. The problem that he has is that A0AZY is, one, not a U.S. call sign. Not a U.S. call sign. And two, it's not a legitimate call sign at all, anywhere. If we look at how call signs are constructed using this chart from Wikipedia, the call sign is always got the ITU assigned prefix, okay, a separating numeral, which in the United States is a call district, and then a suffix. And they can be all kinds of things. Let's take K4X, right there, K4X. That is usually a one-by-one call sign assigned for a limited time special event in the United States. And yes, you can get one of those, and it'll be valid for 2 weeks for your special event, and then somebody else can use it. Here is an example of B2 alpha alpha. The B is the prefix, which B is for China, strangely. And then the separating numeral is 2, and then AA is the suffix. Here is a normal American call into ASD, where N is the ITU assigned prefix, 2 is the call district, and ASD is the assigned area. Now let's look at A2 to A. Okay, the prefix is A2. And the separating numeral is 2, and then there's an A. So this would be considered a 2-by-1 call sign. Here's a special event call from Italy. I2, 4 zeros and an X. I2, 4 zeros is an X. A 1-by-5 call sign, which is a special event in Italy. And here is 4X4, AAA. Well, the prefix is 4X. And the separating numeral is 4, and then AAA gives you the Israeli call sign. Now, why did a country like Israel end up with sort of a bottom-of-the-list call sign? It's because Israel became a country, I think in 1948, long after all of the earlier call signs were given out. Now, here's another one. 3DA0RS. The 3DA is the ITU assigned prefix, and the 0 is the separating numeral, and the RS is the suffix, and this is in Swaziland, which again, the way those various countries were set up in South Africa has changed a fair amount since World War II. Well, let's look at all the A call signs and see just who they go to. See just to whom they go. This is the United States as AA through AL. So, Jim, your call sign, if you want to start it with an A, has to start with AA, AB, AC, AD, all the way up to AL. It has to start with one of those prefixes. Those are United States calls. AM through A0 is Spain. AP to AS, Pakistan. AT to AW, India. AX is Australia. AY and AZ are Argentina. Then you get the weird ones. A2, Botswana. A3, Tonga. A4, Oman. A5, Bhutan. A6, United Arab Emirates, or the UAE. A7, Qatar. A8, Liberia, which is quite a ways away from these other nations here. And then A9, Bahrain. Okay, those are all the A signs. Now, let's look at that in text that Wikipedia has. 2-character prefixes are needed when the letter range is divided among 2 or more jurisdictions. For instance, the block AAA through ALZ is assigned to the USA, but Spain, Pakistan, India, and Australia are assigned other portions of the A block. So, at least 2 characters from the left need to be assigned by each country to produce unique call signs. Letter number prefixes A2 through A9 are also assigned to 8 other jurisdictions, so call sign prefix with a single A does not uniquely distinguish any of them. So let's look again at what is assigned to the United States. The United States, of course, was a key party in putting all of this together. And guess who grabbed a whole bunch of prefixes? This A in the United States, we've got K, N, and W. We've got everything for K, N, and W. It can be WA, WB, WBA, whatever it wants, but in the United States, we only do 2 letters and then the separating number, okay? And then usually 2 or 3 after that. If it's just 1, it's often a special event station. We've got K, N, and W, and this is mostly what you get and hear today. Now, AA call signs, you have to be an amateur extra to get them, and you can get like AA0W or AB0QSY, whatever. You know, you can get a combination of them that you may want. So if we go back to your original query of you've got KC0 AZY, and you want to keep the AZY part of it and have an A suffix or A prefix, you can go to, you can have AA0 if you want, and then your prefix of AZY. So you could have AA0 AZY, AO, no, not AO, AO is pastel. You could have AG0 AGY, or you could try for like splitting it, AA0ZY, which gives you the letters you want, but not necessarily in the right order. You've got to move the zero around. So your options have to be legitimate call signs. Well, why don't we just for kicks look at the actual the list of call signs across the country? Okay, I'm going to put this up here. This is listed in Wikipedia, but it's actually an ITU, or International Telecommunications Union product, and it is put out by the United Nations. There are World Administrative Radio Conferences every several years, and they're the ones who administer this. So here's your United States right up at the top. And B, oddly enough, is the People's Republic of China, all of it. However, Taiwan is given BM through BQ and BU through BX. Okay, and there's a big to-do, always has been, between these two people. Chile, Canada. Now, Canada, you hear a lot of VE prefixes. But the thing is, they're also allowed these CF through CK. So occasionally you will hear see something stations and think, oh, wow, this is DX. And it turns out to be just north of Seattle or something like that. Cuba, Morocco, more Cuba, Bolivia, Portugal, Uruguay, and more Canada again. So you see how these are spread out, and oftentimes what happens is that these nations will issue special call signs using these things here. Okay, the Gambia, there aren't that many places around that use the as part of their prefix. The Bahamas, okay. Germany, DA through DR. Now you think they'd get all a D, but like I said, this is more along the lines of a World War II, post-World War II kind of thing, and Germany had just been defeated, and they were reduced in the number of prefixes they had. South Korea is D7 through D9, but that's not what you usually hear. Ireland is EI through EJ, okay? And you'll hear EI stations on the air. Now, some of the older parts of the USSR still carry those call signs, but the Ukraine has got their own now. Let's see, Estonia. I was looking for something here. The Palestinian Authority even has E4. Now, E4 is the prefix. So if there is a following number, it would be like E45XYZ. Okay? Cook Islands. In Bosnia and Herzegovina, there's been a lot of drama in that area in terms of splitting into different countries. Of course, F for France, G for the United Kingdom. At the time, it was known as Great Britain, hence the G. But a lot of the people in the United Kingdom use other call signs too. Hungary, Switzerland, Liechtenstein, okay, and so on. North and South Korea have separate ones. Even the Vatican has its own. And they do have amateur radio stations in the Vatican. Now, here's our United States. Now, the United Kingdom also has M. And you'll hear a lot of UK stations starting with M now. Okay. And let's see, we'll go down further, see if there's anything interesting. North Korea gets some more here. P5 through P9. Now remember, these are prefixes, so they're also followed by another number. Iceland, France has TH. Okay? You get some odd things in here. You'll hear some odd call signs. Now these are different parts of what used to be the USSR, and they had all the U's for USSR. And Australia, you often hear of Australia as VK, but they have multiple prefixes that they can deal with. They weren't given very many. Now, one of the problems with that is that they are having to give, for their lower level license, they give VK and then a number and then a 4-letter suffix. Okay, so those are normal. Here's VP through VQ, United Kingdom again, and VS. Hong Kong, this is interesting because Special Administrative Region of the PRC, People's Republic of China, has been sort of recently, like in the last year, absorbed more directly into it. And Canada, here's some VX and VYs. United States W again. Mexico with its X's. People's Republic of China, XS. Okay, and you get some odd ones. Now we can really get into some interesting things. And here's horse, New Zealand, Z. Z from New Zealand, but you can use them for United Kingdom and also Zimbabwe. Now, 2. The prefix 2 can be used by the United Kingdom, and is. And you'll often see 2, and you can have another number, or they'll put something after it, 2 echo 0, or something like that. But 2 also covers the United Kingdom, and a lot of people are getting these. And so on it goes. You get down into these numbers here, like 4X for Israel, and 4Z. Very small country, so they can do that. Some that you hardly ever hear here, and it just goes on down to the bottom till you run out of numbers. Trinidad and Tobago for 9Y and 9Z. Okay, so Jim, I hope we answered your question. The reason that you couldn't get what you want is because it's not a legal call sign. But if you take A followed by A through L, and then you can put your 0 and AZY, or you could do something like AA, 0ZY, something like that. Go for that, and go for a bunch of those. All of the call signs use the English or ASCII character set, okay? So even if you're looking at a station in China, the letters will be the Western lettering for the name of the station. It's just because that's the way the ITU works. When I was in Switzerland many years ago with my dad on a tour, I saw the ITU building. I even took a picture of it, which has shown up in earlier versions of Ask Dave, I think in some of the tech stuff talking about where call signs come from. So this has been just a nice little easy overview of call signs and what we can do and what we can't, and help answer Jim's question here so he can ask for a call that is a legal call sign, and he'll get his vanity call the way he wants it. I hope you've enjoyed this. Please subscribe. Please click like. Also, if you would like to contribute financially to this channel, you can go to dcasler.com/support and find many different ways there of supporting this channel. So until we next meet, 73.